Hey everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to be doing some speed reviews of the products I have been trying lately. Before we get into that, we have to acknowledge the sling. I broke my wrist yesterday, and it wasn't even in an epic fall on the ice either, or snowboarding, or something with a cool story. I was dancing in my kitchen in slippery socks, apparently, and when I slipped, I did try to catch myself, and that is how I broke my wrist. Ridiculous way to break your wrist. I can laugh about it now, but I've actually never broken a bone before, so it's been a completely new experience, and I never ever wish to go through it again. But for a while, you can get used to me wearing a brace or a sling or something, and I think it'll be at least a month. With that out of the way, trying to fix my shirt here, let's get right into the products. So I've been testing this Essence Stick Foundation all month. I really like it. I'm wearing it again today. I think it's lovely. I think it's really good. If you are a shade twin to me, I think shade 50 is almost perfect. I think it's just the tiniest hair too light. I've been contemplating picking up the next deepest shade. Maybe I would mix them. What's nice about, since it's from Essence, it's not like it's super expensive. So, I can afford to experiment a little bit with the shades. But the stick itself is actually quite emollient. You put it on and it feels very, very smooth. I'm not sure if someone with very oily skin would like this, just because it does have more of that emollient feeling, and it has kind of a, I don't know if it's necessarily a glowy finish. It's a natural finish, but I don't know. If you do have oily skin and you tried this, we would all like to hear in the comments. But it blends out beautifully. You can use more for more coverage if you'd like, so it does build. And in comparison to some other ones I have tried, I'm thinking of the Merit and the ones from e.l.f. Well, I do like those. Those ones, if you use too much, it can look a bit heavy. I haven't really had that experience with this one. I think it's really good. Next up, I have a highlighter from e.l.f. I am wearing this as well today. I think it's really pretty, but I have to be honest. This is called the Halo Glow Silky Powder Highlighter, and I have the shade Blush Money. After I have tried some exceptional highlighter formulas, I'm specifically thinking of the one from Fenty and also Nabla and MAC, just like really top tier. When I try something that is pretty but nothing super special, I don't know, I'm not going to rave about it too much. I have been a little bit confused when I see people rave about it, but again, makeup is very subjective. I think this is one of those highlighters that looks best when you actually use a little bit more than you're used to. I feel like when I use a little bit of this, it actually can look a little patchy, like this, with the way that the glitters or micas are kind of scattered across the skin. I like to use a lot of this and then blend it in, and then I feel like that is how it looks the best. Let's talk about the bronzer I was testing this past month. So yeah, I have been testing the Victoria Beckham Bronzing Brick. I have the lightest shade, 01. Let's start with the packaging. I feel like anyone I've ever seen review this, I'm with you. We have to talk about the packaging. It's a very, very heavy, beautiful packaging that seems to be at least sort of scratch resistant. Mine doesn't look at all beat up. It also has refillable packaging. So with something that's very heavy and looks like this, it's nice you only have to buy it one time. That way when you want to refresh the powder, you can just buy the product that way. It does come with a mirror. And when I use these shades, I tend to mix the two shades together. I just kind of go boop, 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 boop with my brush. And you can see how it looks on me. I have it there on my forehead and on my cheeks. It is matte, but it doesn't look flat. Now, if you're someone who's just after function, I don't feel like you need to buy a really expensive bronzer like this. If you're just after function, I would highly, highly recommend the one from L'Oreal, the Infallible Bronzer. But if you're someone who likes a really pretty compact, especially if you like something that you can like set out on your vanity as just part of the decor, this is really beautiful. Definitely one of the nicest pieces that I have personally seen. While a lot of times I enjoy, function over beauty, there are other times where I do appreciate having just a pretty compact. And so yes, I went for it. I went for it on sale. And if I ever buy anything from Victoria Beckham again, which I feel like I might, I do tend to really like the packaging and the products are always nice. I waited until there was a 20% off sale at the very end of the year. I think it only happens once a year, and that was when I grabbed mine. Moving on to blushes. So I was testing this beautiful blush from Rare Beauty this past month. Is the shade that I'm wearing today is the shade Hope. This is the matte Bouncy blush. I adore Bouncy blushes, and pretty much like all Bouncy blushes I have tried, it has a beautiful diffused looking texture. And this one from Rare Beauty, like I like to compare everything to the one from MAC, the Glow Play blushes, because I love those so much. This one in comparison has way more pigment. So if the MAC ones were too sheer for you, this would definitely be more up your alley. They're also not quite as squishy. They're less putty-like. You guys helped me pick this shade in a poll. Beautiful choice. I really like it. I wasn't sure if it would go with this other, like my shirt and everything today, but I feel like it can work. But I do feel like this is one of those shades that can cross a few boundaries in terms of different looks. I feel like this would look really nice with like a summery look, a more rosy look. So far in testing out Bouncy blushes, I'm liking all of them. I really do like them. I feel like if you are on the hunt for a Bouncy blush and you just don't know which formula to try, just go for the color that calls to you, because I've also been testing another Bouncy blush. I'll mention it next month, the one from Glossier. I like that one too. So I think just, you know, go for the color that you like, because all the formulas have that same beautiful diffused look. Speaking of diffused looking blushes, did you guys see that Wet n Wild came out with an apparent dupe for Fui? So this is the shade Pinkaboo. This is a very bright shade. When I have tried this, I have worn just a little bit of it. I'll put up a picture or a video of how this looks on me. Again, this is a very diffused finish on the skin, but if you want to really have a pop of color, this will go there for you. This, again, very, very pigmented. I don't think it's an actual dupe for the Fui. The Fui to me is more moussey, more bouncy. And while, you know, this has that quality to it, it's just a little bit more, perhaps maybe even slippy feeling than the one from Fui. But right now the market is so full of these beautiful blurring blushes. Again, just go for the shades that you like. A friend of mine snagged me one of these at Walmart. I was very grateful because now the display is completely empty. People are really into this sort of thing, but I think it's nice. Even though there's only 4.6 grams in this little blush, I feel like it would last a very long time considering how pigmented it is. I have another lip and cheek product to talk to you about. So this one's from Covergirl. This is the Jelly Water Tint. When I first tested this on the back of my hand, I thought it was going to be a very sheer, dewy product. I completely changed my mind about that. This is very pigmented. And because it is a stain, which for some reason I didn't realize at first, but it is a cheek stain, this wears a long time. I suggest go in with a small dot, blend it out, and then if you feel like you need more, add more. I had 2 dots and I felt like I ended up with a very, very blushy look. So according to the label, this is the shade 40 Jelly Nude, but I have actually had trouble lately with Covergirl mislabeling the shade on a couple of products that I have tried. So now I'm like, I don't know, is this Jelly Nude? Because on me it looks quite pink. In any case, I actually think that this lip and cheek stain is more user-friendly than the really, really watery versions, like the ones from e.l.f, for instance. I kind of like this more gel-like texture. I think it's easier to use. I feel like it has a less chance of being patchy. So I actually think this is lovely. I really like the texture and how it felt on my lips. However, I did start to feel a slight kind of burning sensation when it was on my lips, so I quit wearing it on my lips. That might just be a me problem though, with my weirdly sensitive lips, but I just thought I would mention it. So from now on, I'm going to stick to using this as a cheek product. Moving on, I had a friend give me a Loreal lipstick. Now, I have some Loreal glosses that I'm absolutely in love with, and I have people every time in the comments telling me how much they hate the Loreal scent. And this whole time I've been kind of like, well, I mean, it has a scent, but I don't think it's that bad. Now I understand. this lipstick, I really don't like the way it smells either. So this is the shade 580 Peony Pink. It's actually a shade I can wear. It does have a little bit of that pearlescent look to it. I'm gonna try. I really want to show you a swatch. I'm gonna try. There, you can tell it's a little bit frosty, and this is one of those colors I can pull off depending on the rest of my makeup. So the day I wore this, I actually really liked my makeup, but yeah, ooh, that scent, it is so intense. I could taste it while wearing the lipstick, and it actually made me feel a little sick. Now I understand why people say that about the L'Oreal lipsticks. The other L'Oreal lip products I have are scented, but it is not the same scent. If it is the same, I feel like it's a toned down version, but I actually don't think it's the same thing. The products I really like are from the Glow Paradise line. I think that's a different scent. I think I'm gonna hang on to this lipstick just because, you know, it's one of those colors I wouldn't buy for myself. Like I said, a friend gave this to me, but it is a color that on rare occasions I feel like I'm gonna wanna reach for, despite the scent. As for the lip product I'm wearing today, ooh, have I been loving this. This is from Colourpop. This is the new glossy lip stain. So back in the day, I loved Colourpop's glossy lip stain. I'm not sure if it's the same formula that they used to have or if they just updated the packaging. All I know is that I really love this color. This is the shade Baby Fox. And even though it's called a glossy lip stain, I feel like when I put it on in comparison to other glossy lip stains, it's not as glossy as those other ones. So say if you're used to like the NYX one or the Milani one, this one, not so shiny, but it still stains. And look how pretty. Oh, I think this is a beautiful color. This is another one of those colors that it can go with different makeup looks. For some reason, I tried it on today and I thought for sure it'd be too warm for this kind of look, but I feel like it goes with it just fine. It doesn't even look warm right now. Anyway, I really like this. Mascara. The mascara I have been testing lately is from Maybelline. This is the Falsies Surreal mascara. I have it in the shade Blackest Black. Excuse me, Blackest Black. Now, I didn't wear this today because I feel like I've been noticing that it might be making my eyelashes break. I don't know for sure, but I have been noticing lately that may be something that's happening. So the first week that I tried this, I didn't think it did very much for me. But then after about a week of being open, I felt like it was very nice. I did try this on in a get ready with me video, and I'll put a video on the screen too so you can see how this looks. I do think this can be very pretty on the lashes. However, besides possibly making my lashes break, this wears really bad for me. Really badly. I ended up with pretty crazy raccoon eyes with this one. I'm sad this one didn't work out because this was a recommendation from a friend, but that just shows you the difference between people's lashes. My lashes are very fine, so if something makes my lashes super crunchy like this one does, I do tend to have more of a problem with my lashes breaking. I tried the Liquid Velvet eyeshadow from e.l.f. This particular shade, Beige and Boujee, is almost the exact shade of my skin. It actually works really well for me as an eyeshadow primer. As an eyeshadow, I love it too though. It gives you enough time to blend it out, but then it sets down and it doesn't crease. And I'm someone who does struggle with creasing. And at the same time, when it dried, I didn't think it looked cracked or scaly or anything like that. I thought it was a very nice formula. Not quite as nice and not quite as smoothing as the Lisa Eldridge, but there's a really big difference in price between the two. I still recommend the Lisa Eldridge one, but if you're looking for something and you're not, you know, super particular about the smoothing effect, because I feel like the Lisa Eldridge ones have that extra smoothing effect, I think these are still really nice, and I'm probably gonna get another shade just because this one is so close to my skin tone. I would like to get another one. I had my daughter come in here and loosen all the lids on my makeup so that I didn't have to struggle with them. So here's an eyeshadow from Decorte. So this is a Japanese beauty brand. It's now available through Ulta, which is how I managed to try mine. There are a ton of shades, and I picked the shade 17G Autumn Dazzle. Now this is one of those viral eyeshadows. It's very popular. It does have that kind of a bouncy, squishy texture. I find I like this best applied with kind of a dense brush. I've been using this one. This is the Refer 32. So you can see kind of the shape. It's flat on top. And when I use it, I will kind of stamp it on and then blend. And I find that when it's blended out like that, it's very smooth and I really like the effect. I do have to use an eyeshadow primer. This is one that otherwise will crease. When I just apply it with my fingers, I actually don't think it looks that good. I feel like it needs to be blended out to have that really especially nice smoothing effect. So at the end of the month, you know, after extensively testing this, I do think I like it, but I think I would like it more if I got a different color. It's a nice color, but I feel like I didn't do myself any favors. I could have picked a color that called to me a little bit more. I specifically chose this color because another person I like to watch loved this color so much. I need to quit doing that. I need to just pick a color for me, but I do still like it. Do I think it's worth the price though? These are expensive. I personally think they're overpriced. At the same time though, with how many shades are available, maybe they have a perfect shade for you, and that sometimes is worth money as well. Okay, one last product. A friend of mine gave me this palette from What's Up Beauty, and I have been loving it. This is the Desert Monsoon palette. It is what I'm wearing in my eyes today. So here's what the palette looks like. Isn't that beautiful? Today I'm wearing Dust Storm through my crease, Canyon on my outer corner, Desert Rose on my lid, and Canyon again brushed on my lower lash line. The mattes are very pigmented, so I treat these kind of the same way I treat the Sydney Grace ones. I dip my brush in one time and that is enough. The shimmers, I wish I could properly swatch it for you. I'm sorry I can't do that right now, but I feel like there's lots of swatch videos if you want to find swatches of these. They're very smooth, super beautiful. I found the palette very easy to work with as long as I didn't try to build up the mattes, which for me quickly got to be too much. Generally, I try not to go too dark with my eyeshadow, and a dark eyeshadow is very easy to do with those mattes. But I'm really, really pleased. For the longest time, I've been looking at the Dragon Eye palette from What's Up Beauty. Now I know it's probably gorgeous. All right, those were the products that I was ready to review. Usually at the end of these videos, I like to share a book that I have been reading. I've been going back and forth if I even want to mention this one, just because the cover is it's so funny. If you like to read lit RPG, actually I don't even know if this classifies as lit RPG. Maybe it's called a progression sci-fi book. Anyway, before I even show you what it is, before I put it on the screen, I have to tell you, do not judge this book by the cover. I think the cover is just ridiculous. And the only reason I read this is because I saw a review about it on an author, on a blog. So here's the book. I actually thought this was so well done. It's a YA. It's about a young man who got a really rough start in life. He has a terrible disease that causes him a lot of pain, has stunted his growth, but he's very smart. And his biggest dream is to get into this specific military academy. And in this universe that was created in this book, they are constantly at war with kind of like a cyborg species. It made me think of the Borg from Star Trek. And the only way they're beating them is that basically everyone who joins the military also gets outfitted with like this cyborg type technology. And because of his physical illness, he normally would not be allowed to join. However, the massive AI that's in charge of the program decides to use him as kind of an experiment, and he gets into the academy. So it's an academy book. There is a sequel that's just as good. I think the reason why I liked it so much is sometimes YA can be frustrating because they make the characters so stupid. Yes, the characters are young, but they don't need to be stupid. And I liked that they were not stupid. It has some really nice friendships. And I think that's one of the reasons too I liked it so much. It has lots of good friendships in it. The found family type books always get me. Only bummer about it is that there are only 2 books out, and the author who writes them has another full-time job besides writing. So the books come out really slowly. However, I found him on Reddit, and every once in a while he'll post chapters. So yeah, I'm that into it now. I'm like following along as he slowly releases chapters. It's very painful. If that sounds good to you, you know, check out the Iron Prince. Okay, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. This is always where I like to share my tea of the day. And my tea of the day is this one from Tea Viver. I admit, this one seems to me to be a very mild type of oolong. You can tell it's supposed to be kind of a vegetal leaning oolong, but I'm actually kind of struggling to pick out the notes. It just seems very, very mild. Thank you for joining me today. Again, if you've tried any of these products, please let us know your review down in the comments. I always love to see your guys' reviews, and I will see you again very soon in the next one. Bye.